Welcome back. Today we are going to learn English through a real story, a story that is quiet, powerful, and deeply connected to history. Today we are talking about the White House, not just a building, not just a house, but a place where history happened. When people hear the words White House, they often think of power, they think of presidents, they think of important decisions. But the White House also has a human story, a story of dreams, a story of struggle, a story of change. And today you will hear that story in simple English. So relax, listen carefully, and let the story guide your English. The White House is located in Washington, D.C. It is the official home of the President of the United States. But this was not always the case. In the late 1700s, the United States was a young country. It had just gained independence. It was still finding its identity. The leaders of the new nation needed a capital city, a place where the government could work. So they chose an area near the Potomac River. This area later became Washington, D.C. Now they needed a home for the president. In 1792, a design competition was announced. Many architects sent their ideas. The winning design came from a man named James Hoban. He was an Irish architect. His design was simple, strong, and elegant. Construction began soon after. But building the White House was not easy. The work was slow, the land was difficult, and money was limited. Many workers helped build it. Some were free workers, some were immigrants, and some were enslaved people. Their hands shaped the building, but their names were often forgotten. The house was made from white-colored stone. This stone came from nearby quarries. At first, the building was simply called the President's House. It was not officially called the White House yet. In the year 1800, the White House was finally ready. The first president to live there was John Adams. He moved in with his wife, Abigail Adams. But the house was not finished. There were no proper roads. The rooms were cold. The city around it was still empty. Abigail Adams once used the large rooms to dry laundry. This tells us something important. The White House was grand, but life inside it was simple at first. Over time, the White House slowly became more comfortable. Each president changed it in small ways. They added furniture. They improved the rooms. They made it feel more like a home. But history had other plans. In 1812, the United States went to war with Britain. This war reached Washington, D.C. In 1814, British soldiers entered the city. They burned many buildings. The White House was one of them. Fire destroyed the inside. The walls were blackened. The rooms were empty. For a moment, it seemed like the White House would be lost forever. But the building survived. The strong stone walls remained standing. After the war, the White House was rebuilt. The damaged walls were painted white to cover the burn marks. Some people believe this is how the name White House became popular. Slowly, the building returned to life. Presidents came and went. Each one left a small mark. Some added gardens, some added decorations, some made major changes. But one thing stayed the same. The White House remained a symbol of leadership, a symbol of democracy, a symbol of the American story. And this story is only beginning. Over the years, the White House became more than a home. It became a place of daily work. Presidents did not only live there, they planned, they discussed, they decided. Inside these walls, the future of the country was shaped. One important change came in the early 1900s. President Theodore Roosevelt believed the president needed more working space. So in 1902, the West Wing was added. This new area became the center of power. It included offices, meeting rooms, and later, the Oval Office. The Oval Office became the president's main workspace. It was designed to feel calm, focused, and private. From this room, many important decisions were made. Some decisions brought peace, some decisions brought conflict, but all of them changed history. As time passed, technology entered the White House. Electric lights replaced candles, telephones replaced letters. Later, radio and television arrived. Now the president could speak directly to the people. One famous example was President Franklin D. Roosevelt. During difficult times, he spoke to Americans through the radio. These talks were called fireside chats. People listened in their homes. They felt comforted. They felt connected. The White House was no longer distant. It felt closer to everyday life. But life inside the White House was not always easy. Presidents carried heavy pressure. They worked long hours. They faced criticism. They made hard choices. Some presidents lived there happily, others struggled. Families also lived inside the White House. Children played in the halls. Pets ran through the rooms. For them, it was simply home. But outside the gates, the world watched closely. Every move mattered. During the 1930s and 1940s, the White House faced another challenge. The building was aging. The floors were weak. The walls were cracking. It became dangerous. In 1948, President Harry Truman made a difficult decision. He ordered the White House to be rebuilt from the inside. The outer walls stayed, but the inside was completely removed. For several years, the White House was empty. President Truman lived across the street. Workers carefully rebuilt the interior. They added steel supports. They made it safe again. In 1952, the president returned. The White House looked the same from outside, but inside, it was strong and modern. This showed something important. The White House could change without losing its identity. Through the years, each president continued to shape it. Some added art, some added furniture, some restored history. But no matter the changes, the White House remained a place of responsibility, a place where choices affect millions. And this responsibility continues today. As the White House stood strong again, the world around it continued to change. The United States became more involved in global affairs, and the White House became a symbol not only for Americans, but for people around the world. During times of war, the building carried great weight. Presidents made decisions that affected entire nations. Meetings were held late at night. Phones rang constantly. Messages arrived from every corner of the world. During World War II, the White House was always active. Lights stayed on for hours. Plans were discussed carefully. The president was not only a leader at home, but a voice on the global stage. After the war, the role of the United States changed. It became a world power, and the White House reflected this new role. Foreign leaders visited regularly. Important agreements were signed. These moments were not just political, they were historical. At the same time, the White House also became more open to the public. People wanted to see it, to understand it, to feel connected to it. Public tours became more common. Families walked through the halls. They saw famous rooms. They learned stories behind the walls. This helped people feel that the White House belonged to them. But history inside the White House was not always calm. There were moments of tension. Protests happened outside the gates. Voices demanded change. Presidents had to listen. Important movements shaped the country during the 1960s. Civil rights became a central issue. The White House was a place where laws were discussed, signed, and challenged. These moments were difficult, but they were necessary. They showed that the White House was part of living history, not frozen in time, but growing with the nation. Technology continued to advance, computers replaced typewriters, security systems became stronger, the building adapted again, but its purpose stayed the same: to serve the people, to guide the country. Every president brought a different style. Some were quiet, some were energetic, some spoke softly, others spoke boldly. Yet all of them worked from the same place. They sat at the same desks. They walked the same halls. History surrounded them every day, and that history reminded them of responsibility. The White House was not about one person. It was about the role they carried, a role shaped by the past and focused on the future. This balance between tradition and change defined the White House, and it still does. As the years moved forward, the White House entered the modern age. Security became tighter, technology became faster, the pace of leadership increased, yet the building itself remained calm and steady. Every morning, the White House wakes up early, staff members arrive, meetings begin, briefings are prepared. The president's day starts quietly, but quickly becomes full. Inside the White House, there is a rhythm, a balance between tradition and daily work. Some rooms remain private, others are open and welcoming. The East Wing hosts events, ceremonies, guests from around the world. The West Wing stays focused, decisions, plans, responsibility. Even today, history continues to be written inside these walls, not always with loud moments, often with quiet conversations. Many important choices are made behind closed doors, choices that affect education, healthcare, economy, peace. The White House also represents democracy. It shows that leadership can change, different presidents, different ideas, but the same building. This peaceful transfer of power is one of its strongest messages. Every new president enters with hope. They bring promises, they bring pressure. The White House does not judge. It simply stands, ready to serve the next leader. Over time, the building has seen joy and sorrow, celebrations, farewells, smiles on the balcony, serious faces in times of crisis. It has witnessed history without speaking. Its walls remember. For visitors, the White House is inspiring. For presidents, it is demanding. It reminds them that their role is temporary, but their decisions are lasting. That is the quiet power of the White House. It is not just a building. It is a symbol of continuity, of responsibility, of a nation always moving forward. Today, the White House continues its role at the heart of American life. It is still a place of leadership, still a place of difficult choices, still a place where history is shaped. Every day, new challenges arrive. The world moves fast. Problems grow complex. Inside the White House, people work to respond. Advisors study information. Leaders discuss options. Decisions are made carefully. Not every decision is popular. Not every choice is easy. But each one carries responsibility. The White House also reminds the nation of shared values: freedom, democracy, service. It stands as a reminder that power comes with duty, that leadership requires patience, listening, understanding. For many Americans, the White House represents hope, the hope that voices are heard, that change is possible. For others, it represents accountability, a place where leaders must answer to the people. Generations have watched this building. They have seen moments of pride and moments of disappointment. Yet the White House remains. It does not belong to one president. It belongs to the nation. And beyond that, it holds meaning for the world. It shows how history is built step by step, decision by decision. The White House teaches us something simple. Buildings do not make history, people do. But places like this give those people a stage, a place to act, a place to lead. And as long as the White House stands, the story of leadership, responsibility, and democracy continues quietly, steadily, one day at a time.